Who is the worst gatekeeper for art? I've seen these arguments that people are now ecstatic that AI will help them kill that last gatekeeper for art. Who is the gatekeeper of art? So just off the bat, when I talk about this, the obvious is AI was never needed for art in the sense of painting, drawing, writing. That stuff was all very simple. You don't need any special tools to do any of that stuff. So anybody who argues that AI has somehow liberated people in the way of now they can do their art properly, I truly believe there was never really a gatekeeper. Sure, there's tools, that cost a little bit, typewriters, when typewriters became a thing, word processors, but all that stuff is heavily brain related, and it's just you. It's kind of a solo act. Of course, you can, co-write something or co-draw something. Yet they might have a point when it comes to filmmaking. Filmmaking has always been a very collaborative art. There's always been a multitude of people involved with making a film. So obviously, there's a little bit more barriers, and maybe there is more gatekeeping when it comes to filmmaking as an art, and I totally get it. Of course, when movies started, it was incredibly expensive. The cameras were expensive, the film stock was expensive. But I think things started to change in the 80s when the advent of video and videotape. Now, costs were slashed. Film stock was unnecessary now. You didn't have to wait for processing. The speed of how you could make your film sped up exponentially. Everything was a lot cheaper. Yet, video had its drawbacks. It always had that video look. Basically, it looked like especially the early days. Eventually, in the 90s, early 2000s, HD video became a thing. 24 frames a second, so to mimic that film look. I was a part of all this, obviously not on a professional level. I was still just dabbling. Yet that was a huge advantage over early video. It started to look decent enough to make movies. And when the movie 28 Days Later came out, shot on a mini DV Canon XL1, that was kind of like when people really stood up and noticed that these cameras, although still limited, and obviously that wasn't even HD, but my point is people started to take it seriously as a way to make movies, especially if it really lent itself to that style, like Blair Witch Project was shot on high 8, stuff like that. For some reason, I'm going to use a Mario analogy here, but if you think of Koopa, King Koopa, he got shot down a little bit. He became a little smaller when video became a little better. But the real killer, especially for costs and how quickly you could shoot stuff, I think really came with cell phones. That's something in your pocket that everybody has now that is pretty decent quality. The gatekeeping got really small. I almost died. I have an absolutely hot take that I know might see a lot of backlash on. I think, yes, there's a different level where costs are involved and a lot more people are involved and people who say yes and no. Of course, all that gatekeeping exists. On like a commercial level, like we're talking quite large commercial level. On an indie level, I really think the gatekeeper, and this is where the hot take comes in, the gatekeeper is you. It's your limiting belief of what you can do in filmmaking, in film, in making movies. I truly believe that you are the limiting factor. So get out of your head and make your thing. You can make something now, especially with phones. And of course, again, this is going to be controversial and people are going to say it's not true, but the ability to take a phone like this and make, almost died. I really do think this is going to be the most controversial video I've ever done, even though I said that about my doing free work video from a couple summers ago now. Why I'm so convinced about this too is, and I've looked at it myself, the reason I haven't made more film projects is 100% me. I've put it on the lower in my priority list in my life, and nothing against making movies or anything, but I just haven't had time to really figure out something I want to do. I will make something, and again, I'm still doing this project this year, 2026, I'm going to make a feature. That's my promise to myself. And I have some ideas, but again, it'll be small. They'll be very, very small. So it'll only be me greenlighting it. You know, film is collaborative. It's a very odd art because there is a lot more people involved, even on a very, very small budget. You can't necessarily make something completely by yourself if you're acting in stuff with a tripod, maybe, which I have thought of doing. It's not as gate kept as you think. I also say this with utmost respect for actors, but this is why I could never be an actor, unless I'm just making my own stuff. But you're constantly waiting for that yes. It's not up to you. You can be the greatest actor, but just maybe you go for the wrong parts. Maybe, you know, things just don't align. The days don't align. You had to go to your regular job instead of going to the audition that would make your big break. I just couldn't do that. Waiting for the yes, brutal. This is a really cool road. I like this Smith Road. Goes down to the beach here. I think I need to back this up a little bit by saying that I was 100% a part of this. When I was just getting into making movies and stuff, I totally believed that there was a lot of gatekeepers. You could never like make it, truly make it. It was up to other people. And yeah, that was basically how I thought. And that went up all the way up to now, basically. I'm not saying that I was not immune to this idea that it was somebody else's problem, that I haven't like, quote unquote, made it or whatever, which is, that's been a long time since I believed in that kind of, all that nonsense. I'm not saying I was never a part of this collective saying this. I also want to add that the art of filmmaking, literally the bare essentials, picking up a camera, acting, performing on camera, editing it, and then say posting it or publishing it in some way, that's what I believe that has no gatekeeping. Of course, if you're at a different level, trying to work on like studio level stuff, TV, stuff like that, Netflix, of course. But again, the more that ramps up, the more people you have to get through to say yes to your stuff. And it can be the greatest stuff, but there'll be one person having a bad day who shuts it down. And yeah, I just don't like that stuff. So again, back in the old days, back in the early movie days, yes, money was a big object and a big gatekeeper, big barrier to making movies. But now, I even hesitate to say distribution. You know, I was talking about the different levels. Distribution is free. You could literally reach millions of people on YouTube. And I know people are gonna hate on that because it's, you know, you don't make money, but it's there, it's free. You can go on TikTok, Instagram for short stuff, but you can post your whole movie on YouTube. You can edit it using free software, like I believe DaVinci has a free software version, free light version. Edit your movie on that. You can shoot on your phone. You can write it on a piece of paper. You don't even need like Final Draft or, you know, script writing software. It's all there. Comment below if you have a rebuttal or any kind of thoughts on this. And I expect a few negative comments, but you know, remember the point of the video. The point of the video is it's up to you if you really want to make something happen. And that's what I just want to throw out there. And I look back at these videos as much as you guys, and have to kind of like remind myself of some of this ramble that I do and think about. So hope you like it. Hit that subscribe button, and see you next time.